So today I'm going to be doing a first impression on Belletto Studio Airbrush Foundation, so if you're interested, please keep watching. So it took me a while to get my hands on this airbrush makeup, but I finally did, and the shades that I purchased are in the tan range. Of course, you can see Dune, Sienna, Hawaiian, and Nutmeg are the shades that I'm going to be using, of course, testing out with this brand. First things first, I'm going to start with my blush. Because I only purchased foundation shades, I am going to be using Airbrush, and here I'm just using Peach Pink. So I wanted to let you know, I am using other products, but of course the foundation is going to be the star of this video. Then I want to make sure to clean it out because I don't want anything to be mixed with my foundation to tamper with it or jack the color. I'm going to make sure to wash it all out. So now that you see that my airbrush is clean, I am going to go ahead and start with a Belletto foundation. So here I'm just going to be taking Nutmeg and I'm going to apply it as a contour. Now this is just a shade that's a little bit darker than my natural skin tone, so this will work perfectly as a contour. Now I noticed that the tips on these bottles were pointed and it seems to get just a little bit messy in the cap. So if you're all about cleanliness and things like that, I don't know, you might want to make sure to wipe it down every time you use it. I also noticed that the consistency of this foundation was very liquidy. It was kind of a little bit thinner than what I'm used to with the Airbrush foundation, but I'm going to test it out on a tissue and of course apply my contour like so. So just as I suspected, the texture of it against my skin does feel like water. It's not quite as thick as the Airbrush or of course, the Temp 2 silicone based foundations. It's very liquidy and it does feel like I'm misting water, but it looks like there's a lot of pigments in this foundation. I noticed that the color is very bold, which is really awesome. Comparing it to the Luminous foundation, I find that there's more pigments in the Belletto Studio foundation than there is in the Luminous at first, impression. So this is looking good so far. So I'm just going to go ahead and finish up my contour, make sure everything is where I need it to be. I'm going to apply it in the same places that I would usually apply my contour, just to make sure that I can see, if there is a difference between coverage and things like that. And I did find that there was still a little bit left in my gun, which is really awesome considering I contoured my whole face and not run out. So, longevity wise, it's pretty good so far. Now I'm just going to go ahead and take Dune, and I'm going to go ahead and drop, I don't even remember how many, but you'll see here, it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 drops of Dune, which means probably 2 drops of Nutmeg mixed in with it, because I usually like to use 12 drops in total to cover my full face. That's what I would use with the Airbrush foundation, so I most likely would want to keep it the same, but let's see. I have a tough time coming out, but there is 2, yeah, so it's a total of 12 drops altogether. And I'm just going to go ahead and back bubble that to make sure that it mixes well, and because it's so liquidy, it does mix very well. Because it's not thick, of course, it doesn't have a harder time mixing together. So that's a plus. I am going to go ahead and take my little brush though and kind of mix it around just to make sure everything's nice and evenly consistent, because of course I want to give you the best first impression that I possibly can. Okay, and then just taking a look at the color here. Pretty good match to my skin tone, so I'm not even going to be nitpicky and just go ahead and call this a decent enough match. I'm just going to start a little bit by concealing some of the areas that need just a bit more coverage. So of course the center of my chin, it's a little bit discolored there. Looks like there's a good steady stream of pigment coming out, which I'm liking quite a bit. And then of course under my chin I have some darker spots there that I just want to go ahead and cover up. I would cover them up with any of my other airbrush makeup, so of course I'm going to do the same exact thing that I do with my normal foundation, which of course is to cover my blemishes first. So I'm just going to go around my face, of course, my nose, and this will also give me an idea of how much it holds up too, especially with areas that crease quite a bit, like the area around my nose and of course around my eye area as well. and then I have to go ahead and adjust the pressure here. So it seems like with Belletto's, but with I keep saying Belletto, but with Belletto Studio Foundation, it seems like you can keep it at a lower pressure, so you don't really have to have it at 12 o'clock. 10 o'clock seems to be perfectly fine, you know, to go ahead and apply your foundation with, just because, like I said, it is a thinner consistency. Now I am using the Dinair airbrush and compressor just because that's the one I have. No, I did not go out and purchase a Belletto Studio compressor. I didn't find the need to, because, you know, I'm in love with my Dinair one anyway, so I figured just use the Dinair one. But it seems to be working out, and like I said, let's go back. It is a lower pressure that is needed to apply the Belletto Studio foundation just because it is thinner. So. And not bad. I still have quite a bit left after concealing my blemishes, which is awesome. So now I'm just going to go ahead and use the rest to apply my foundation like so. I'm just going to do the same thing, small circular motions around my face. I am a creature of habit, so the way that I'm doing it is the same way that I do it with the Dinair Airbrush makeup. Same distance. This is just how I do it every day. This is how I'm used to doing it, so it's almost, I guess, like automatic in a way. So, you know, there won't be any difference in the way that I apply it. I'm just doing the same motions, same areas. I know which areas need more coverage on my skin, so I'm just going to go ahead and keep that pattern exactly the same. So far it seems like I'm getting decent coverage with the Belletto Studio foundation. It's not coming as quickly as with the Dinair, but the Dinair Airbrush makeup, excuse me, but it's covering pretty well. I want to make sure to go ahead and kind of cover over my blush just to see, you know, how much of it actually shows through, and then just make sure everything's blended down my neck as well. But so far, I'm liking it. Evening out my skin tone, which is, you know, typically the thing that you look for when you want to wear makeup, let alone airbrush makeup. And it looks like I finished what's in my cup. Not bad, the coverage that I got. It seems okay. It's a little bit more sheer than, of course, the coverage that I get with the Dinair, but here's some photos to show. Overall, I think the coverage is pretty good. It did even out my skin tone quite a bit. Of course, the color match is pretty good. Very, very close to my natural skin tone. Of course, you see that there's not much differentiating color between my jawline and my neck, which is one thing that I look for. So stay tuned for my final thoughts video on Belletto Studio Airbrush Foundation. And once again, thank you so much for watching, and please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.